Let's bring in Sami Al-Arian. He directs the Center for Islam and Global Affairs at Istanbul Zaim University. Thank you for joining us in the studio this hour. Look, this is day one of Ramadan. Going into this holy month for Muslims, there was a question that now seems naive of whether that might provide some momentum for a ceasefire in Gaza, for an easing of tensions, maybe even for more humanitarian aid to be brought in. Clearly, the answer is no.
Absolutely. I mean, this is not the first Ramadan that Israel would violate. I mean, in 2021, same thing happened. They were violating, people's rights all over, including their right to worship in the Al-Aqsa Mosque. In 2021, there was a huge war. It was during Ramadan as well. But Ramadan, of course, is a special month, a special occasion, a special season for many people. And now they are facing, particular people in Gaza, a month where people are supposed to feel for the afflicted, for the hungry, for the people who are not having shelters. And yet all this happens in Gaza, and we have a month without ceasefire, continuous bombardment, continuous killing, continuous starvation, mass starvation taking place with nothing taking place. So it's a very sad moment to have and to see what's happening in Gaza today, especially in the midst of Ramadan.
What's the calculus for Israel when they see Ramadan approaching on the calendar? How do they factor that in their decision-making?
Unfortunately, Israel does not see the Palestinians as human beings. They said it, they are human animals. They do not see the human side of Palestinians. They have been violating their rights left and right. But what they see here is pressure on the resistance so that they can give up the demands that they have been trying to get from them regarding the ceasefire, or not ceasefire, actually, cessation of hostilities, because so far they have not accepted the concept of ceasefire with the resistance with Palestinians. They want to continue until they fulfill their objectives, which is basically to devastate, to kill, to undermine, and to annihilate the resistance, and also to try to force some sort of Palestinian surrender, whether by having an evacuation that is voluntary or forced.
Are you saying, I want to make sure I got this right, are you saying that Israel sees Ramadan as possibly putting more pressure on Hamas, and therefore as they see it as a time when they can gain benefit from this?
I don't see any doubt about this, because even President Biden has been trying to tell them, please stop something, 6 weeks at least, let Ramadan be a peaceful month this time around, and they continue to say no.
But there's a calculus around Al-Aqsa Mosque specifically, isn't there? Because Netanyahu had a decision to make. He had within his cabinet the security minister, national security minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, who wanted to severely restrict access to Al-Aqsa Mosque and was pleading with Netanyahu to do that, to implement that policy. On the other hand, Shin Bet, the domestic security service, was telling Netanyahu this is not in Israel's interest to do this and could cause further tensions. Netanyahu, in the end, sided with Shin Bet and said there will be no more restrictions on Al-Aqsa this year during this Ramadan than there were last year.
I think there is a misconception also about what Netanyahu is allowing and not allowing. What Ben-Gvir is trying to do was to not allow any Palestinian, even those who have Israeli citizens, of going there unless they are of certain age. And what Netanyahu says, no, these people will be able to go there. We're not going to put restrictions, but there will be security restrictions on the people of the West Bank, in which the overwhelming majority of men would not be allowed, which is the same thing that's been happening every year, except for certain occasions, which would be towards the last 10 days of Ramadan or whenever there aren't settlers in the compound. But there is not unfettered access to Al-Aqsa Mosque for the Palestinians who live in the West Bank. And remember, West Bank is not a war zone. It's not Hamas, invested zone. And yet all these restrictions are taking place in Ramadan by the Israelis.
Yeah, and 400 Palestinians have been killed there since October the 7th.
That's exactly right. And plus 7,300 people have been arrested.
Have been, absolutely.
Without any charges.
Al-Aqsa has typically been a flashpoint in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Do you expect this to be the case again this Ramadan? It was, for instance, back in 2021, right? The previous war between Israel and Hamas. It was one of the causes that triggered that war.
Actually, if you see the October 7th operation, it was called the Al-Aqsa Flood. So Al-Aqsa has always been at the center of this conflict. The Organization of Islamic Conference, or now the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, was created in 1969 because of Al-Aqsa. There was somebody who tried to burn Al-Aqsa Mosque back in 1969, and that's how this organization was born, because of the immense sacredness and holiness of this place for Muslims worldwide.
All right, Sami Al-Arian, thank you very much. You're the director of the Center for Islam and Global Affairs at Istanbul Zaim University. Thank you for joining us in the studio today.
Thank you.